Welcome back, guys, to another episode of Hoops and Football. I am Shannon. So, as you can see, obviously, prior to making this video, I made these a couple of different screens. But prior to that, obviously now we've kind of heard some reports are coming out that Harley Reid wants to stay. But I still thought, why not make a video of a couple of trade scenarios and what we would give and what we'd get back in a trade for Harley Reid from Richmond to West Coast. So, trade scenario number one, I've got three scenarios. Richmond will get Harley Reid and a third round pick, which we could probably use the points to get Callaway. I think it's Lewis Callaway as a father and son. So it's kind of a way to, giving up pick 2 and 3. It's not going to hurt West Coast to give up a third round pick. Look, and that pick 2 and 3 could be more pushed to 4 and 5. 3 and 4 with the, if Allen does leave and the AFL does gift West Coast a pick 2. So that's just the first trade scenario. I thought that was probably the basic deal where he doesn't require many players to trade. It's just a standard pick 2 and 3. Most fans probably won't go with trade scenario number 1 just because it's just giving up pick 2 and 3 straight up, which means you have no draft capital coming into this year's draft, and there's a couple of good players coming out of the draft this year that in that top 5 that you'd love to get your hands on at least one of them to help out with the future. So that's just trade scenario 1. So then we'll now move on to trade scenario number 2. All right, so this is probably the one I think most fans would say would want to do, and probably what I would say yes to as well. So Richmond gets Harley Reid, nothing else, just Harley Reid. We give him this year's pick 2, which could be pick 3, obviously with the Oscar Allen compensation, which is we all know is bullshit, and a future pick first round 2026. So we give up our next year's first round. That allows us to either keep pick if it's pick 3 or 4, it depends on, obviously we're going off the compensation draft as well. So then it still allows us to get a Harley Reid, to maybe a Dyson Sharp, a Josh Lindsay, a Sam Grilge, I think they say it, Will Dersma, and see how they go there. Look, and I doubt Cooper Duff Tyler would slide down to a third or fourth pick, but also the chances are definitely there as well. So that's the scenario for trade scenario number 2, and I think more than likely that's going to be the one that most fans of Richmond would go after, just because it's not taking everything away from this year's draft, and that then allows you to bring in would be 9 first round picks in the last 2 years. Look, and then if you include Harley Reid, then it's you're bringing in 10 players in the last 3 years that are in the top 10 or in the first round pick class. So that's pretty good. It's a pretty good rebuild as well. So that's trade scenario 2. So now we'll move on to trade scenario number 3. All right, so trade scenario number 3. Richmond would receive Harley Reid, a second round pick, and a third round pick for this year. Now, whether Richmond would need to do that, that many picks, but it wouldn't be too bad to have a second and a third round pick for Lewis Callaway, and then worst case scenario, then you could trade one of those picks for a 2026 second or third round pick from somebody else who wants the pick, just so we have more points for the following year, because of 2026. I think it's Cody Walker, Jack Lees, I think it's Tanner Brewer, or no, Armstrong is another. We have another NGA Academy player coming through as well. So I think next year there's three players we're going to have to try and get in. So we're also going to have to try and get some points there. West Coast would also receive pick 2 and 3 and Jacob Blight. So pretty similar to trade scenario number 1, but you give up Jacob Blight, so they get a player that helps them, because West Coast are very short on defense. He also gets the go home factor. They get a defender for them, big key defender as well, because we all know he should be playing in the AFL with Richmond, and he's not. So I'm not against trading him over there. And you get a third and a second round pick for him. It helps us out, and then we still go into next year with our first round pick. And look, next year you could also make a whole video about, do we trade next year's first round pick for a couple of late picks this year and a couple of picks late picks next year for all the points that we need for our upcoming players. So yeah, we would get obviously the Harley Reid, and we'd get enough points to match for father and sons for next year and this year. They get a couple of first round picks, and they also get a key pillar defender to help with their rebuild as well. So that's just the three trade scenarios that I had come up that I thought some fans would like. Obviously, you know, everyone can make up their own opinion on what they want. You know, some of the reports are saying that Harley Reid doesn't want to come here anymore. And look, it's not over until he signs the extension with them, or he comes out and says, I'm not coming over, or we go through the whole entire footy season, trade season, and then go into the off-season, and he hasn't signed, and he's still at West Coast until next year, and then we all probably know he's probably going to go to Geelong, which is quite insane how Geelong could get him, because Geelong, to me, couldn't give enough picks and players to give West Coast what they want, because Geelong, as we all know, Geelong doesn't like to trade out any players. They like to hold on to them all. So, alright guys, that's it for this episode. If you could, please hit that subscribe button. Help me get to my goal of 500 subscribers by the end of the year. I really appreciate it. Now I'm at 125 right now, so I've had a really good skyrocket in the last couple of weeks. Really appreciate it. Hit that like button. Please leave a comment below if you enjoy my video, and I'll see you guys next time. So at the same time, go Tigers and stay safe.